Today we are going to be looking at the three lines of evidence used for common ancestor of all hominids. The three lines of evidence used: number one, fossil evidence. Fossil evidence, we are going to look at the different fossils. Remember, fossils are remains of living organisms. The organisms which existed, their remains form what called fossils. Number two, we're going to be looking at the genetic evidence. In this case, we're going to be focusing on the mitochondrial DNA. And then number three is cultural evidence. So let's look at the fossil evidence. This one is the one whereby students, they think that is the toughest part of human evolution. But it's not tough. It's only that you just need to understand the concepts, and then you will be able to pass exams concerning about this. I'll show you even how do they ask questions concerning about this fossil evidence. So we are saying that under fossil evidence, you need to understand what is a transitional fossil or what is a transitional species. A transitional species is the one that shows an intermediate characteristics between two genera. Remember, when you say genera, we are talking about a genus. If it's one, if there are many, we call them genera, or different species, or between two species. Or we can define a transitional fossil or species as is the one with the characteristics common to both ancestor species and the species that follows. That's what I've tried to explain, that at least you have to be with some characteristics. Look at yourself. You and your father and your grandfather or grandmother. You and your granny could be the different species. For example, if your father has some characteristics from the granny, and he also has some characteristics from you, then we can say that a dad is a transitional fossil or a transitional species. It has the characteristics of the granny and has the characteristics of the son. So it means that is having two characteristics. So a transitional species is the one which has both characteristics of the ancestor and then the characteristics of the following what species. Yes. So here is an example of a transitional fossil. You have this animal, and then you have this animal. Yes, they are birds, dinosaurs, whatsoever. They are animals. They are under kingdom Animalia. So you have this animal, and then you have this animal. So there is a transitional fossil of species here. How is it a transitional species? If you look at this species, there are some characteristics of this bird or this animal, and then some characteristics of this bird or this animal. So if you look at these feet, you'll find out that they are looking like this ancestor. Yes. If you look at this part of the wing, it looks like the ancestor. If you look at this part, it looks like this one. If you look at this part, it looks like this one. So it has both characteristics of the ancestor and the characteristics of the following. So we call this we call it a transitional species or a transitional fossil. What are some of the important sites in Africa which support this fossil evidence? Yes. Number one, we are saying that the first, we have countries. We have South Africa. We're going to look at Kenya. We're going to look at Tanzania. We look at Ethiopia. We're going to look at Chad. If you look at this map, it's showing you the different countries in their location. So let's look at the evidence, the fossil evidence. Here you need to know at least the scientific name, common name, who discovered, where it was discovered, and at least the age. So in this case, I've not included here because I have already designed a small clip which has all that information. So you have the scientific name. The first fossil you need to understand is Adepithecus ramidus, which we call AD. Yes, who discovered it is Tim White. Yes, and then where exactly is in Ethiopia. Sometimes this one becomes the common name. Sometimes when you're asking, we might not ask you whether the common name or the scientific name. We just ask you a question which is open, whereby you are supposed to answer depending on the question. If it requires scientific name, answer in the scientific name. If it requires a common name, answer the common name. If it's open, you can choose whatever you want. So we have the Australopithecus afarensis. This one is called Lucy. The person who discovered it is Johansson, Johansson discovered it in Ethiopia. Lucy, those people who watched a movie called Lucy, you can even see how did life try to evolve. We have the three fossils. We call them Australopithecus africanus. The first one is Taum Child, who discovered it, Raymond Dart, where exactly in Taum. It's called Taum Child because it was discovered in Taum. Then we have Mrs. Place. Mrs. Place, who discovered Robert Broom, discovered in Stackfontein. Yes, in Stackfontein Caves. Sometimes we call them Stackfontein Caves in Taum. And then you have the Littlefoot. Littlefoot was discovered by Carl in Stackfontein. Still, they discovered it in the same place like Mrs. Place. But these they didn't discover them in the same period of time. So sometimes you can ask a question. Give two Australopithecus africanus species are found in Africa or found in South Africa. Then you can now name Town Child, Mrs. Place, and then Littlefoot. Sometimes you can ask which one of the following is known to Australopithecus africanus species? Then you say that Town Child, Mrs. Place, Littlefoot, and then Karabo. Because Karabo is also Australopithecus, but doesn't mean that it is Australopithecus africanus. Sometimes you can ask a question, just give three Australopithecus species you know. Here, when you say Australopithecus species, we are not saying that give the Australopithecus africanus. It's just Australopithecus. Then it means that even Karabo can be what? Included. But if they are specific to africanus, then you have to answer only question concerning about Australopithecus africanus. Yes. So we have Australopithecus sediba. This one is called Karabo, who discovered it. Is Lee the Burger, and then where exactly in Malapa in Cradle of Humankind in South Africa. Yes, Karabo has some unique features. Sometimes it's called a transitional fossil or a missing link between Australopithecus, and Homo habilis. So this is a missing link between Australopithecus africanus and Homo habilis, or a transitional fossil. I explained the transitional fossil that is a species which has some characters of the ancestor and some characters of the next species of the following species. Australopithecus sediba has some characteristics of Australopithecus africanus and Homo habilis. Therefore, it is regarded as a missing link. Then another one is Homo habilis. Homo habilis means the handyman. Homo means man. Then habilis means handy. So who discovered it is Mary and Lewis in the Olduvai Gorge. They discovered it in Olduvai Gorge, Tanzania. So basically, yes. And then we have Homo erectus. Homo erectus. Erectus, upright. Yes. It means that upright walking man. Yes. Homo means a man. Yes. A man. Yes. Homo habilis. Yes. Man. Yes. So it means that upright walking man. Upright man. Yes. This one is the one who discovered it, Du Bois, in Indonesia. So we have even in other areas, but the oldest was discovered there. Then Homo sapiens is called the wise man. Wise man, yes. I heard of a school called wise man, yes. So maybe we can call it Homo sapiens school. All right, wise man, yes. Who discovered is Tim White, still again. He discovered this in Limpopo, in Western Cape, in KZN. Yes, all those places they discovered those Homo sapiens. Now, as I'm asking you, are you not Homo sapien? How comes that they're telling us that they discovered Homo sapien? And even the one who discovered Homo sapien is a Homo sapien. Does it make sense? The person who discovered Homo sapien is a Homo sapien. So he discovered himself. All right. Here they are trying to mean that the oldest Homo sapien. Yes. Oldest Homo sapien. However, the person who is discovering is a Homo sapien, but he discovered the oldest Homo sapien. And where did he discover it from? Discovered it from those areas. Then note, Australopithecus sediba, which we call Karabo, is a transitional fossil. I explained this. That is a transitional fossil between Australopithecus africanus and the Homo habilis, the handyman. Between this and this, between this and this. So this Australopithecus sediba is the one which tries to link between these two. And sometimes we call it a missing link.
a missing link, a missing link. Yes, number 2 is genetic evidence. Genetic evidence. This is the mitochondrial DNA. Mitochondrial DNA. Mitochondrial DNA. Remember, when you're talking about mitochondria, we say that mitochondria are semi-autonomous. They are self-reliant. They have their own DNA. They are not being controlled fully by the DNA in the nucleus. No, it has its own DNA. However, the mutations which occur in the mitochondrial DNA, they are rare. And if they are there, we can use them to trace our lines of descent. But there is something special with the mitochondrial DNA. Yes, let me give you this example. Remember, when we are talking about fertilization in reproduction, we say that the sperm, when it fuses with the ovum, only the head of the sperm fuses with the ovum. The tail does not enter into the ovum. And remember, the middle piece and the tail, the middle piece is the one which has the mitochondria. So it's only the head. So the middle piece and the tail, they don't enter into the egg. What happens then if it is like that? Then it means that the egg will only have the mitochondria of the egg or of the ovum. So all of us, we have the mitochondria from the mothers, from our maternal parents. So it means that if there is a mutation in the DNA of the mitochondria, it means that only that of the lady will be passed to the next generation. So if we try to trace that DNA, we can see that, okay, it came up like this until we find where it originated from. So I want to trace where the mitochondria from this. So I have the person here. I go like this. Father, mother, yes. In this case, I don't go. Why? Because it won't give me. I'll only go with the lady. Yes, you see. Now, when I reach here, the father does not give me the DNA. No. So I'll go with the female. I continue. When I reach here, then I continue with this. It means that the father doesn't give me. So this is where the mutation maybe happened. Or I can continue until I find the origin. So we are saying that mitochondrial DNA or mitochondrial DNA is inherited only from the maternal line, the mothers. And then you're saying that analysis of mutation on this mitochondrial DNA, yes, shows that the oldest female ancestor were located in Africa. The scientists say that Eve, Muslims call her Hawa. Yes, Eve originated from Africa. So Adam and Eve, even for guys, is East Africa. So it means that we are the owners of this world, because Hawa or Eve and Adam originated from Africa. That's what they say, scientists. So we are saying that, and then all humans descended from her. That is the mitochondria of Eve. That's the one I've been talking about. Yes. So basically, that's how you can explain. Whenever you see a tick, it means that, guys, don't miss out that point. Don't go to exam without knowing these evidences. I repeat, don't go to the exam without knowing these evidences, because if you don't know them, then it means that you won't be able to get the marks. All right, let's continue. Then you are saying that cultural evidence, tool making. This one, using stone tools with cutting and sewing, improved human nutrition. Like if you can cut the meat, so it improves the nutrition, so that you can kill the animal, so that you can obtain nutrients from this animal. Development of stone tools became more sophisticated as hominins evolved. As these hominins are evolving, yes, so the tools became more advanced. It's like a phone. 2000, the phone was just like that, but as you improve, you go on going towards 2020, it becomes more sophisticated. So that's what happened during those ages. And then you're saying that tool required planning and thought. So it means that also the brain was also developing, because they require planning and thought. You don't just come from nowhere and then you develop a tool. No, you can see them as they are just light, you can design them. But if you were the one by that time, you wouldn't have done that. A generation which will come, they will laugh at us, the kind of phones, the kind of computers we are using. Yes, they will laugh at us. You understand? Yes. So it means that technology or development of brain keeps on evolving and evolving. So here is the tool they started with this. Check the kind of tool they started with. And then they started to modify it, and then they modified it up to this level. It shows that there is development in thinking. There is development in thinking. So this shows that from here to this point, it shows that there is an increase in the brain. You can see that the kind of tools they are using here, even the brain size here, you see, is just very small. The kind of tools that are here, these ones are more advanced than this. Even the brain size bigger than this one. This is Homo habilis, this is Homo erectus, and then the kind of tools now we are using are these ones. This is the Homo sapiens. Yes. So by then, we used to have axe from stones and pangas from the stones, knives from stones, but now we just have to modify them. Even now we're using the stones, yes, but they are just modified to suit the requirements. Yes, basically those are the evidences out of Africa hypothesis, and the evidence for African origin of modern humans.